Good morning, everybody. Sorry, just as my phone rings off, I'm sorry. So today we are going to actually be talking about the HR diagram and then practice plotting some stars as we finish talking about the HR diagram. And so I have in your Google Classroom your version of the notes, and then the plotting practice where you will use that to practice plotting some of the stars on the HR diagram. So this is what I've mentioned a few times is one of the main things from the universe SE, what they expect you to know, that is tested almost every single year. And then other questions come from some of the other things most years. So this is almost always on the test. So that's why I wanted to make sure everybody had a chance to see this before we do the mock, because I would pretty much guarantee it's going to be on there. Some of the other stuff we'll wait until after the mock because it may or may not be on there anyway, and it doesn't take as long to finish up on that. But I do want to make sure everybody sees the HR diagram. Easy to do if you use your lens strategy. Very confusing if you're not using it. So when you go into your HR diagram notes, you have the student version here. So your student version says day 2. Some of my classes, yes, we did day 1 yesterday. Some of my classes, we didn't do day 1 yesterday. We will do day 1 later because HR diagram is the more important thing to do. And so we'll do that now and do the other things later. So we're going to use models such as the Hertzsprung-Russell diagram for the classification of stars. Your version, actually, let me show you real quick so you know what to fill in. So this one is the student notes version. So as we kind of go, you're going to have some copies of the HR diagram, and you'll add some of these labels and notes and stuff as you go. And there are some things around it that you'll look at. I don't think there was anything on this one. No. Okay. And just continue to add different labels and different things as we go. And then there's a quick check at the bottom. And then we'll go on to the plotting the stars afterwards. So I'm going to go ahead and go through the notes here on the video in case you're one of the people that's going to miss today, especially I know band people are out a lot today. So I'll go through my version of the notes so that you can make sure you get everything on your version if you're out today. On this one, you basically have a diagram that's plotting many of the stars. It's definitely not all the stars, but we have many of the stars that we see in our night sky. These are the ones that are kind of close to us that we can see even without the aid of a telescope. And it plots them with various characteristics. So if you notice on this one, we have colors. And then they fit into a couple of different groups. They're definitely grouped together. So we have this line of stars that goes down through the middle. We have a group over here. We have a group over here. We have a group up here. And then we have a group down here. Each of these is labeled. And the colors obviously seem to definitely have a relationship with where they are on the graph. Now, if you look at the labels, as I've mentioned a few times, labels are super important. One of the first things that you want to take a look at. These on the x-axis, if you're looking at these labels, one of the first things that hopefully you notice, yes, it's temperature, but one of the other things that I hope you notice right away is that 40,000 is the hottest temperature. 2,500 is the coolest temperature, but they are decreasing. This goes against basically every graph that you've probably seen. Most of the time they increase from left to right, and this one is decreasing from left to right instead, which means all of the hottest stars are over here, and all of the coolest stars are over here, which brings up another interesting point. We are used to saying red is a warm color, blue is a cool color. We use blue for cold water, red for hot water. And so it kind of throws us off at first. And we're like, wait, no, blue would be a cool star, red would be a hot star. And it's exactly the opposite. And in reality, if you think about it for a minute, this does actually make more sense. We just don't always use that because we've gotten used to thinking about it differently. But if you think about on a fire, if you have a fire in the fireplace, even if it's a fire on the stove, the hottest part of the flame is closest to where the fire source is. So the logs on a fire in a fireplace or on a bonfire, campfire, whatever. The coolest part of the flame is the tip of the flame. And if you look carefully at the base of the flame, it's usually pretty close to blue. As you get further away, you see a little bit of yellow and kind of yellow-orange. And then if it's dark enough, you can see the red at the tips of the flame. Sometimes you don't even see the red, you just see the orange. It has to be pretty dark to be able to see the red. So it makes sense if we think about it in terms of fire and flame, that yes, the blue is going to be the hottest and the red is going to be the coolest. We just have gotten used to thinking about it differently in daily life. So that is something you're going to really need to make sure that you remember, is that blue is going to be the hottest stars, red is going to be the coolest stars, and then make sure that you're reading the labels. The other label and axis on an HR diagram is based on the brightness of the star. So brightness can also be called luminosity, so how much light, lumen is light, is given off, and it can also be called the magnitude. But it uses a weird scale, and it compares everything to the brightness of the sun. So it's either brighter than the sun or it's less bright than the sun. And the sun is 1. And these go in powers of 10. So it's like this. 10 to the second power would be 100 times brighter than the sun. 10 to the fourth power would be 10,000 times brighter than the sun. And this would be 1,000,000 times brighter than the sun, and so forth. And these are things that are, if everything was the same distance away from us as the sun is, how much brighter or how much dimmer, less bright would it be? Because these are based on what's called absolute magnitude, because obviously the sun appears the brightest to us because it's the closest to us. But if everything was exactly the same distance away from us, then how bright would they be compared to the sun? We have a hard time with that because it's kind of like if you had a candle and a campfire and they were exactly the same distance away, then obviously the campfire would be much brighter. But if you had a candle right in front of your face and a campfire 100 yards away, the candle would probably be brighter because it's right in front of you. And so it's that kind of idea. And so the absolute magnitude is talking about how bright is it compared to the sun's actual brightness. So if all of them were the same distance, how bright would it actually be compared to the sun? So that's how this works. So things that are very, very cool and not very bright or dim would be in this lower right-hand corner. If they're very, very hot and very, very bright, then they'd be in this upper left-hand corner. If they're larger and brighter, but they're getting cool, then they're going to be in this upper right-hand corner. And then if they're really, really small, which makes them not very bright, but they're still very hot, then they'd be in this lower left-hand corner. And as it moves through, and I think I moved it to a different tab real fast, so hang on. Oops, there it is. Let me move this one back over real quick. as it moves through its life cycle, stars go through different phases, but when they're in their main phase of their life, no matter how big the star is, it's going to be a main sequence star. It just depends on how much mass it has, how bright it is, and what its color is. The temperature and the size are what's going to determine the brightness. But as it gets older and it goes into that red giant phase, they all move up towards the light, or towards the right rather. They become either red giants or red supergiants. And oops, where did it go? I moved it over here. There it is. And then for these less massive stars, they eventually lose those outer layers, and it just leaves the core, which is the white dwarf. So that's kind of how these move. So they start out somewhere in here based on their mass. As they start to expand, some of these first go to the blue giants before they eventually move over to the red supergiants, but these move into this category before they lose their outer layers and then eventually go down into the white dwarfs. These are all going to go through supernovas and either become black holes or neutron stars. So at that point, none of these will appear on the HR diagram anymore because they're not producing light. Oops. Oh yeah, that's. So, oh, here it is. I'm like, where is it? And I don't remember if I can. I don't think I can record sound on mine, so I may have to just get you the link for this to watch later if you're at home. So we'll watch it in class, but I'll attach the link for this in a little while so that you can watch it at home as well. So basically, this is where your notes are gonna. Oops, I keep going to the wrong one. Nope. I don't know what I did with your copy now. Oh, this is it. Okay. So this is where you're going to start to move some of these over as we go through this part. So basically, the HR diagram is a diagram that classifies stars based on their temperature and magnitude and luminosity. The y-axis tells you how bright the star is in comparison to the sun, and luminosity increases as you go up. The x-axis tells you the star's surface temperature in kelvins, and the temperature decreases or gets cooler as you move to the right. The luminosity is the star's brightness. The main sequence is the diagonal pattern of stars on the HR diagram that runs from the upper left corner to the lower right corner. And then the other stars are the red giants that are large, bright, and low temperature stars, and the red supergiants are very large, very bright, and low temperature stars. And then on the lower left corner are the white dwarfs that are very small, very dim, and very hot stars. And so this one just shows you where you can put those labels on yours. So there's your temperature, your luminosity, your main sequence, your red giants, your red supergiants, and your white dwarfs. And you can pause this if you need to. And then you will do your quick check at the end. So again, any of these last three, rewind if you need to, pause if you need to, go back and check those, and then you'll be able to do that quick check. As far as the HR diagram star plotting is concerned, you're just going to plot some of the stars on the HR diagram using the star's temperature and luminosity and change the color to the correct color given at the top. So as you see, you have stars over here. You will drag them over based on the temperature and the luminosity. So like for example, that first star is alpha. So you would, oops, I drug it to where I don't have a star. You would take a star over, let's do a different one that you're going to be able to see. So Echo is 10,000. So 10,000's over here.